Hey guys, this is Dr. Jesse Morse of the Fantasy Doctors and Florida Orthopedic Specialists here in Stuart and Port St. Lucie, Florida. Today we are going to talk about some of the injuries that happened for week 4 of the NFL. Huge, crazy weekend. I hope your team did well. Mine did amazing. I was happy with the performance beating the nearby to me Miami Dolphins. But either way, there was some injuries that happened, and the first thing we're going to talk about is the Patriots' Rob Gronkowski, predominantly because A, he's had a ton of injuries in his history, and B, because his game is only 3 days away, as this is being recorded on Monday, as they have the Thursday night slate in New England versus the Indianapolis Colts. So overall, it sounds like Gronk retweaked or re-injured the same ankle that he was dealing with in the past couple of weeks. The good news is that it does not sound serious as per ESPN's Adam Schefter, which is great news. I didn't think it was serious. The only reason he probably didn't go back in the game is because they were up by a substantial margin and it's not worth the risk. Ankle injuries are particularly finicky. What typically happens, we don't know the specifics, but we know that he is dealing with likely a lateral ankle sprain where he rolled his ankle. Now, what happens is, and I have my trusty little model here. Unfortunately, it's clear, so it becomes a little harder to follow, but it's not meant really for this purpose, but you kind of get an idea with some visualization. This is the lateral ankle. So think of the lower leg bone on the outside. This is that prominence right there. There's ankle ligaments that cover up here. There's basically three main ones, and your high ankle ligament is right here, the syndesmosis, and then you have, if you look on the inner aspect of your ankle, you have really a thick ligament called the deltoid ligament on the medial aspect. Well, most of the time, what happens is you roll your ankle and it tweaks this lateral smaller ligaments, and unfortunately what happens is they don't heal well. Because they're not bone, they don't really heal, they kind of scar over. Well, you're not going to have the same flexibility, you're not going to have the same strength and mobility as if those ligaments were back and intact. So it's important to start mobility early, but at the same time you need to shut it down for the swelling. So depending on the severity, if it's a grade 1, which is likely what he's been dealing with because he was able to play, they're going to just do a lot of therapy. They're going to kind of prevent it from rolling as much as they can. Lace up ankle brace is definitely a possible scenario. Expect the Patriots training staff to kind of tighten up his ankle as much as they can, and maybe even tape it up, but studies have shown that tape doesn't really do much for ankle sprains. Do I think he plays Thursday night? Yes. Is there a possibility of him leaving early secondary to injury? Yes. He has a tendency to take a beating, especially over the middle. The good news is that Julian Edelman will be back. Josh Gordon should be a little more acclimated to the playbook. You still have Chris Hogan. Dorsett's been pretty good. Patterson is starting to kind of show his face a little bit, so they have some weapons that are coming out besides Sony Michel, who had a fantastic game, and James White, who also had a fantastic game. So they don't have to rely on Gronk as much. So that will also allow them to, if they do double team him, somebody's going to be open, so they won't be able to double team him as much. So Brady should be able to look for Gronk a little more. Do I feel secure in starting him in DFS this week? No, because there's a very good chance he has another poor performance because of the injury or because of game plan. Either way, I expect him to be good to go for Thursday night, and he will likely be fine over the next couple of weeks. It will probably take him about a month in totality if he doesn't re-injure it to let it fully heal. They may even put him in a walking boot the next couple of days to allow him to shut it down a little bit more. Now, this is assuming he does not have a high ankle sprain or a moderate low ankle sprain. If he has either of those two, it's going to be a lot harder for him to play. So that's all I have for you today. This is Dr. Jesse Morse of the Fantasy Doctors, and stay tuned for more podcasts. as part of this Injuries 101 series, as well as the Fantasy Doctors podcast, which gets taped later in the week when more information is available. Please check out our websites, and if you have any questions or concerns, you can send me a tweet at Dr. Jesse Morse, or check out my website, www.drjessemorse.com. All right, take care, guys.